We'll call this meeting of the Silver City Town Council to order. Please rise and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If nobody objects, we will forego the reading of the mission statement. And we will move on to public input. I have two people. I remind you have 5 minutes to speak on your topic, and I will try to give you a 1-minute warning. And the first person up is Nancy Gordon, reference the Waterworks project. Nancy?
Mayor and councilors, I just wanted to give you an update on the Waterworks project tonight, and so you'll keep it on your radar while you're discussing the budget. The town has now received a grant and supplemental funding from Freeport-McMoRan of almost $50,000 for this project, and it's paid for engineering and architectural studies, educational outreach, and now 2 very successful volunteer projects to repoint the crumbling mortar on the building. We've had over 80 people contribute at least 1,300 hours of volunteer labor on the masonry repair. An upcoming project with some supplemental funding from Freeport is to reconstruct the front porch, which was there historically, and we're working with Western New Mexico University's Applied Technology Department to have students do the actual construction. This spring we had YCC students from Aldo Leopold High School who installed interpretive signs and a native plant garden and did some drainage improvements with the Public Works Department doing the actual grading on the site to get water to drain away from the building. This summer we had some Youth Volunteer Corps members from the Wellness Coalition who painted new panels for the boarded up doors, and I don't know if you've seen them, but they really look great. They look just like the historic doors did. So also with the Freeport grant, along with some leftover money from another grant, we paid consultants to develop a design and bid package for repairing the 1-story portion of the roof. That part of the roof is totally shot. You can't see it from the street, but the rafters and decking are totally rotted. You can see up through it, and the rain comes right through. I just noticed that one of the rafters supporting the skylight over the pump room is starting to rot through, and if that skylight collapses, it's going to be very hard to reconstruct it. Every year we wait means more deterioration on that building. There's another issue that we're going to try to address if we get funding for the roof repair. A Phase 2 environmental assessment, including testing for lead and asbestos, was done in 2002 with a Brownfields assessment grant, but the consultants weren't able to access the pit. There's a pit underneath the building where the pumps used to sit. It's 30 feet deep, and the floor over it is collapsing. The Environment Department would like to do additional sampling of whatever materials are down in that pit. The New Mexico Environment Department is offering to pay a consultant to finish that Phase 2 evaluation and also to work on a remediation plan for lead and asbestos abatement. They're willing to pay a consultant to come down and do that. If their consultants can be here when the roof repair is being done and the roof and decking removed and a crane is on site, then possibly a consultant could go in with a harness rig and access that area. I think the Waterworks property has a lot of potential for future use as a nature center and water museum. But right now my vision of the project is that it's a good example of how to rehabilitate historic buildings. The town and I recently won awards from the New Mexico Historic Preservation Division for community involvement in historic preservation. And because of that award, Preservation Magazine in Washington, D.C. just interviewed me for an article that will give Silver City national attention. So, one more minute? Is that what you said? Okay, I'll get down. But it desperately needs a new roof, and because it's on the National Register of Historic Places, it has to be replaced in kind, which means the estimated cost is between $45,000 and $50,000. However, we have a potential donor who's willing to contribute about half of that amount if we can get this person a tax deduction. So we're working with a nonprofit to try to get them to accept the donation and then pay the town for the roof repair. So I'd really like to see the roof replaced this year. The Waterworks is a really unique building and represents an important part in Silver City's history. So I hope you will at least consider funding part of the cost of the new roof when money is available. So, 5 minutes? Okay.
Thanks, Nancy. And next up is Art Martinez.
Mayor, members of the council, I was hopeful that we would see reference on this agenda to the distracted driving issue, but it ain't here, and I have a deep interest, serious interest in that, but we'll leave that aside. There'll be times, I'm sure, in the future, and I sure hope that the police chief is still with us. You haven't sent him to Hachita, so I assume he is still as alert and working with that issue. I've just been wondering if this particular meeting was announced to the general public of our community in compliance with all the open meetings laws.
It's not a question and answer, sir.
I realize that, but I'm just wondering out loud, and in what papers it would appear, if one or both, or these text messages, or what. I'm not sure.
Thank you. Hey, stop. You can't do that in this meeting. The next item on the agenda is council comments. Councilor Bedison, would you like to start?
Thank you, Mayor. I want to encourage everyone to continue to send me your emails and to give me phone calls regarding your feelings and your issues with the proposed or the current notice of intent on cell phones, the ban, the proposed ban, the one that I can't remember the exact number of the NOI that we're going to be looking at. It's currently on the table. It's not something that's on this agenda. And it was introduced at the last meeting by Councilor Ray. So continue to send me your comments. I appreciate those that I've received. The more that I can receive in writing, the better off. And I know that our town clerk is receiving those as well, because then she can send them to all of us. And I appreciate the work that she's doing to make sure that we receive those comments. So thank you. And I wanted to remind everybody that the first annual Silver City Clay Festival begins on Friday, August 3rd. All the events and workshops and lectures are posted on the Clay Festival's website at clayfestival.com. You can download the daily schedule as a PDF, and I have to tell you that I looked at it today, and if people think we don't have anything to do in town, I'm telling you, there's a lot to do August 3rd through 5th in town. Reminders, some events are ticketed, or you have to, like for workshops, you've got to make sure that you, secure your spot ahead of time. So make your reservations or pick up your tickets today. All that information can be found once again at clayfestival.com. And I know the town of Silver City and all the various venues in town are all really happy to be part of that event. That's all, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Cook.
Nothing tonight.
Thank you, Councilor Ray.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to give thanks to Lisa Ortega and staff at the 6th Street Elementary School for a program called the K+3, which was about 20 kids gave up their summer to get a jump start on school. And they had a bash at the swimming pool. It was very nice. And there's also kudos to the adults and kids for utilizing the Fox Field by walking, running, frisbee, football. I've seen a couple of guys that are doing training for boxing. And I agree with Councilor Peterson about sending us more email and comments on the cell phone usage. And also, thanks for the city personnel for putting up a four-way stop sign by the city yard, which is located on the 7th and Gold. That's all.
Thank you, Councilor Rose.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First, I'd like to just state that the grand opening on the 19th for Penny Park was just a wonderful little event. It was just beautiful seeing all the kids show up and illustrate their excitement through play and just absolutely enjoying it. It was a great little event to be present to. On a second note, just a little comment in addition to the cell phone NOI. A point made by the public right now brings up an interesting point. When we have one of these notice of intents, we're bringing a proposed ordinance to the attention of the public that we're going to be talking about in short order. And we can't do it, we can't have an NOI and then have the next meeting vote something in. We have a meeting in the middle. And this is a great opportunity that the public missed out on. This meeting right here, in between the reading of the NOI to potentially a final reading, the public just missed out on an opportunity to give us a lot of feedback. And hopefully in the future, when we have notice of intents, hopefully the next meeting we get a little more participation, because even though we've had a lot of responses, and I've enjoyed reading those, some very passionate for and against, it's very valuable and very necessary, and I would have loved for some people to come up publicly and present that to us. It's hopefully in the future, people will take advantage of this forum that we have right now today for the public to have said something. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. To be a little more explicit on the NOI, I believe it has to wait 15 days, Ann, from the first reading. And there was only 14 days between the last meeting and this meeting, which makes it forbidden from being back on this agenda. And that typically is what happens, which gives nearly a month for consideration of an NOI before a final reading and a final vote. Okay. Is that any better?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry about that. As far as the compliance with the open meetings, I'd like to ask Ann if she could go through what she does to notice our meetings in compliance with that act.
Meetings in general, not the NOI, but the meetings?
Right.
Okay. For each meeting, we put together the agenda, we finalize it on the Thursday prior to the actual meeting. So on Thursday prior to the actual meeting date, we email the agenda and legal notice to the Daily Press for publication, but I also send it to other media, the Sun News, various community websites. I have this long list of people I send it to. I also fax it to various public buildings, the public safety building, library, museum, annex, the county building, the sheriff's office, district court's office, the library, did I say that? Goes to about 8 different locations. So our open meetings resolution doesn't require that I do all of that. Our open meetings resolution requires that I send it to a newspaper for publication. But if a newspaper wasn't available, it says to fax it to all those other places, but I do all of it. So that's what we do for publicizing the meetings.
Have you had any problems?
If you have any specific concerns on our compliance or our procedures for open meetings, her office is open during business hours. You're more than free to go in and visit with her. If you have a specific incident which you're concerned about, she can answer those questions, or I would be happy to. And if you have a specific complaint, you can file a complaint with the Attorney General's office in Santa Fe that asks for specific issues. Thank you, Ann.
I'm just trying to be public experience.
The next item on the agenda is any changes to the agenda. Are there any?
No.
Seeing none, the agenda is approved, and we'll move on to the next item is approval of minutes of the regular meeting of July 10th, 2012.
Mr. Mayor,
Counselor.
I move that we approve the minutes of the regular meeting of July 10th, 2012 as presented.
Is there a second?
Mr. Mayor,
I'll second it. There's a motion and a second to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of the Silver City Town Council from July 10th, 2012. Is there any discussion? There's a motion and a second, no discussion, to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of the Silver City Town Council, July 10th, 2012. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is under reports. Mr. Brown.
I have none.
Thank you. Chief? Fire Department? This is the only time you're going to get.
Mr. Mayor, councilors, Memorial Day weekend, Council Ray approached a couple members of the fire department and asked about putting a potential bike run together for the Labor Day weekend. And we kind of established a committee made up of police, fire, and EMS personnel to sit on this committee. And it was asked if we could develop some type of bike run, give the public something to do on Labor Day weekend. We came up with a Guardian benefit run that we've put together, that we've got Q's doing some groundwork for us, that's going to provide a street dance that weekend. We've got a benefit run that we're going to establish a scholarship fund out of as well. We got interagency coordination. All of us are working together. We got state police, we got city police, sheriff's department, the fire department, the EMS is on board. We got some pretty big sponsors. We got the town of Silver City. We got Gila Regional. We're gonna, we've talked to you, Mr. Mayor, about leading the bike run for us out of Silver that morning. So we're pretty happy you're supporting it as well. We are gonna, with the bike run, first bike will be out at 9 o'clock. Last bike will be in about 4 p.m. that evening. And then we are gonna have a street dance at Q's. Q's is working really hard to block off Pope Street, and they're gonna bring in Tobias Renee that night for the public, and it's just going to be a street dance that they can come and enjoy that weekend. Not a lot of activities are planned for that weekend, so that's why we're kind of really pushing it. Council Ray has been really instrumental in helping us get this together. Eric Ray's been working really hard with it from the fire department to get this together, and it's really falling into place. We're getting companies calling us and offering us sponsorships, and our goal is to get a couple scholarships, and we're going to give back all those scholarships are back to people who want to either go to EMT school. We've opened up to nursing students who need assistance with books, and even to somebody who may be attending the police academy. So they may not be big scholarships. This being our first year, they might not be a big scholarship, but if we can get a couple small scholarships out to some people and help them out, I think we would have done our deed. So, guys, any questions we can answer for you?
I can't do that one. I'll wait.
Alex is begging me to keep my mouth shut.
got a flyer for you guys. If you guys need a flyer, we can hand one out to you guys, and that way you'll have one handy.
One up there.
I think this sounds really wonderful. I'm really excited about it. I would ask the town if we could just ensure that all sidewalks are available for handicap accessibility if possible, at least so that people know how to get, so they can still get downtown. That's just a key point, because there'll still be merchants open downtown, at least on Saturday.
Yes, we're learning from some of the mistakes in the past.
Okay, great.
And
Thank
they've
you.
been discussed already, so.
Great, thank you.
One key point that we do want to point out is we're going to have law enforcement there in force, with a commitment from state police and city PD and the sheriff's department. It's going to be a really safe environment for anybody involved. The law enforcement presence is going to really make it a really enjoyable evening for any citizen that wants to come out and go to a street dance. It's going to be a comfortable environment. So I know sometimes people will shy away from that, and we're working really hard to make it fun and safe for everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
There's no other reports, no public hearings, no unfinished business. Excuse me, we'll move on to number 11 under new business. Approval, disapproval of public celebration permit application for the 4th annual Pictomania event sponsored by Members Regional Arts Council on September 8th and 9th, 2012 at Golf Park, Silver City, New Mexico. License holder, High Desert Brewing Company, 1201 West Hadley Avenue, Las Cruces, New Mexico. Blake?
Hello, Mr. Mayor and council members. My name is Blake Farley. I'm here on behalf of the Members Regional Arts Council. We're gearing up for the 4th Pictomania, as you just said, and we are here to ask you to approve the special dispensers permit for the High Desert Brewing Company, which is a microbrewery out of Las Cruces. We propose to put the beer garden in the same place that it's been located in previous years, and also for the Blues Fest. So we're just here asking you to approve that tonight.
Any comments? Councilor Moniz.
Mr. Mayor, I move for approval of public celebration permit application for the 4th annual Pictomania event sponsored by Members Regions Arts Council on September 8th and 9th, 2012 at Go Park, Silver City, New Mexico. License holder, High Desert Brewing Company, 1201 West Hadley Avenue, Las Cruces, New Mexico.
Mr. Mayor, I second the motion as stated.
There's a motion and a second to approve. Is there any discussion?
Mr. Mayor?
Councilor Moniz.
Just quickly, everything seems to be in order, and from my experiences so far, MREC's shown a stellar job at putting on these celebrations and fulfilling everything that they've been asked to, so I'm more than happy to sponsor this event.
Mr. Mayor, I just say that I echo what Councilor Ronas stated. The only thing I would note is that under the liquor license list provided by High Desert Brewing Company, I'm sure they realize that one of their folks is overdue down in the special events section for getting his license updated. So hopefully he's either been able to do that, or they'll provide one of the other folks to serve.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, there's a motion, a second, no further discussion to approve public celebration permit application for the 4th annual Pictomania event sponsored by Members Regional Arts Council on September 8th and 9th, 2012 at Go Park, Silver City, New Mexico. License holder, High Desert Brewing Company, 1201 West Hadley Avenue, Las Cruces, New Mexico. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is approval, disapproval of resolution number 2012-17, fiscal year 2011-12, final budget adjustment. Mr. Brown.
Council, included in your packet, you have a copy of the proposed final budget adjustment to fiscal year 2012. This budget adjustment encompasses any changes, increases to revenues that were received by the town. They were It includes any transfers between funds that were caused because of grants that we received, or probably the biggest numbers that you're going to see on this budget adjustment are attributed to the bonds that we received. It's to increase the revenues and the expenditures. We spent close to a little over $3.5 million of that money during this fiscal year, so we spent it really quick, and we didn't get it until November. It also includes revenues and expenditures for new grants that were received but were not originally included in the original budget. So these are all changes to the original budget that was approved by the town council for fiscal year 2012. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Councilor Bedison.
Mr. Mayor, thank you. I just want to compliment everyone, Linda Flores, everybody in the finance staff, and you, Mr. Brown, for the excellent work in preparing this document. I mean, it's extremely meticulous, and down to the dollar on some, $5 in some instances, and I'm appreciative of how well you keep our finances, considering I just left California, where one city announced bankruptcy and another one's on the brink of it, right in the area where my family lives. So, thank you for the fine work we do.
Well, I appreciate it, and you got the small summarized budget that we send to the town, to the state. This is what Linda and the staff put together for the budget. I just give them the numbers and everything to plug in, but they do all the meticulous stuff and balancing and keeping everything in line, so I really appreciate everything that they do.
But thank you very much, all of you.
Thank you. Linda's sitting back there.
Yes, she is.
We know Alex gets to sit up here and take all the credit, but we know where the work happens, Linda. Any other discussion? I'll entertain a motion. Councilor Morales.
Mr. Mayor, I move for approval of resolution number 2012-17, fiscal year 2011-2012, final budget adjustment.
Mr. Mayor, I second the motion as stated.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Councilor Morales.
I'd also like to just express my appreciation to Alex and Linda Flores for doing a great job on the finances. I go through this, and I've experienced other government entities, being a past auditor for municipalities and counties, and they do a wonderful job, and the fact that they just keep us out of trouble in spite of the troubling economic times that we've been in is just amazing. That's it.
Comments? There's a motion and a second to approve resolution number 2012-17, fiscal year 2011-2012, final budget adjustments. Seeing no other discussion, roll call, please.
Councilor Morales.
Aye.
Councilor Ray.
Aye.
Councilor Cook. Aye. Councilor Edison.
Aye.
Motion carries. The next item on the agenda is approval, disapproval of resolution number 2012-18, final approval of fiscal year 2012-13 budget and final fourth quarter report for fiscal year 2011-12. Mr. Brown.
Madam Council, in front of you, you again have a copy of the fourth quarter quarterly report that is submitted to, that we're proposing to submit to DFA. This is the activity that took place in the fourth quarter and the final numbers for the budget and all the funds that we have, and this is what is being reported to request approval for our fiscal 2013 budget. Do you have any questions on it?
Questions?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilor.
I move to approve resolution number 2012-18, final approval of fiscal year 2012-13 budget and final fourth quarter report for fiscal year 2011-2012.
Mr. Mayor, I second that motion as stated.
There's a motion and a second to approve. Is there any discussion?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilor?
I just want to reiterate once again my compliments and my appreciation to our staff, to Linda Flores, and to you, Alex, for everything that the staff does and that you do to keep us in good financial order.
Councilor Bruce?
Mr. Mayor, just one comment, sometimes when we go through this, even when I first look at the agenda and I see one resolution for budget and then another one for a different budget, sometimes it can be very difficult to keep them straight, and they are very different things. What we had just talked about was the final budget for last year. This one is much more pointed for the upcoming year, or the current year that we're in right now, but it does have an element of last year's. They are two very different things. Also, just to kind of go over what I mentioned on the last resolution, Alex has a very difficult job trying to provide services for our community and doing it within a finite amount of dollars, and he does very well. Linda Flores independently does a tremendous job for record keeping and making sure that we up here as counselors get good numbers and are able to watch Alex in that spending, and between the two of them, I feel very comfortable with where we're at.
Thank you. And our auditor comes every year to tell us what a great job that the staff has done and the council did, and verified that he actually did do the audit. Any other discussion? There's a motion and second to approve resolution number 2012-18, final approval of fiscal year 2012-13 budget and final fourth quarter report for fiscal year 2011-12. Roll call, please.
Councilor Denison?
Aye.
Councilor Cook?
Aye.
Councilor Ray?
Aye.
Councilor Morales?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is approval, disapproval of resolution number 2012-19, ratifying a certain agreement between the town and Southwest New Mexico Council of Governments for fiscal year 2012-13. Mr. Brown.
Okay, what we doing? Do we have? Oh, okay. We're fine. I know where we're at now. The Mayor and Council, every year, we're members of the Council of Governments, who represents all the local governments, waters, well, now they're going to include water associations, water and soil conservation districts, pretty much any local government agency in Luna, Grant, Hidalgo, and Catron County. Annually, we have to approve this. It's required by the state and their bylaws that we approve the agreement between the town and them and appoint a representative to their board and 2 alternates. So this is the resolution doing so. And we need the appointment of the representative to alternate.
Do you want to say anything, Priscilla? Or you just want to stand up and take the applause?
Mayor and members of the council, thank you for the opportunity to speak on behalf of the agency that I've worked for 25 years, and this is your opportunity to acknowledge to me whether we're doing what we're supposed to be doing as providing the services to meet the needs. And, our focus has been to primarily improve the quality of life in these communities in the Fort-County region. And so we've been able to submit a number of grants on behalf of the town of Silver City. And we just want to thank you for all the support that you give myself and my staff to be able to allow to bring dollars into the community to improve the quality of life. So it's a privilege to work with all of you. So if there's any specific questions that I can answer on your behalf, I'd be happy to.
generally let the council speak first, but I'm going to say a few things. A few years back, we actually butted heads on some things and caused me to really look at what the Council of Governments does for not only our community, but our entire region, and proved how wrong I was in butting heads with the Council of Governments. The service that they provide is just really invaluable to this community. Priscilla has brought in probably hundreds of millions of dollars in her career to this community that provides water, sewer, essential services to residents all over this region. The $4,500 that's in the agreement is not indicative of the service that we receive. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate the work that you do and how you do it. It's very valuable. Thank you, Priscilla. And please share that with your team. know
I
you have
will,
a team.
absolutely.
Any other discussion from the council?
I just second what you said, Mayor. $4,500 certainly isn't indicative of everything that they do for our municipality as well as others, so thank you.
Thank you very much.
Also to note, in my recommendation for approving the agreement is to appoint Alex Brown as the representative, Councilor Bedison as the alternate number 1, and Peter Pena as alternate number 2, which is how it stands actually today as well. Any other discussion?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilor?
I move to approve Resolution 2012-19, ratifying a certain agreement between the town and Southwest New Mexico Council of Governments for fiscal year 2012-2013. Do I need to read the resolution or the agenda?
The appointments.
Okay. With designating Alex Brown as the public official to be the member of the Southwest New Mexico Council of Governments, Councilor Cynthia Bedison as alternate 1, and Peter Pena as alternate 2.
Mayor, I second that motion as stated.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
Real quickly.
Councilor Moniz?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's similar to what the mayor just mentioned. I've sometimes wondered what the importance of this government, this entity is. And just in the few years I've been here, what I've noticed just simply through empirical evidence, without really a whole lot of research, but the empirical evidence is every time we get any sort of benefit monetarily, Priscilla's here to present it. So all you have to do is just show up at these meetings and you quickly begin to understand the importance of this relationship.
Any other discussion? There is a motion and a second to approve resolution number 2012-19 ratifying a certain agreement between the town and Southwest New Mexico Council of Governments for fiscal year 2012-13. Included in the agreement is the appointment of Alex Brown as the public official, Councilor Cynthia Bedison as alternate number 1, and Mr. Peter Pena as alternate number 2. Roll call, please.
Councilor Bedison?
Aye.
Councilor Cook?
Aye.
Councilor Ray?
Aye.
Councilor Morales?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is approval disapproval of resolution number 2012-20, a resolution approving the Southwest New Mexico Council of Governments to apply for the Certified Communities Initiative Program for the town of Silver City. You're still there.
I didn't leave, because I knew it was next on the agenda.
Did Emily chicken out?
I'm gonna take the lead, and then I'm gonna have her join me up here, and then I'll let her say a few things about the CCI.
You have the floor.
May I proceed?
You may.
First of all, let me thank you for those gracious comments, and it's an honor and a privilege to serve you.
The next agenda item is with reference to the Certified Communities Initiative. And the Certified Communities Initiative is an initiative came up in discussion through what we call the Stronger Economies Together. The Stronger Economies Together was a USDA, I want to say funded only in the sense of training for the Ford County area of individuals that came together to look at how we could actually partner together to improve economic development in the Ford County region. So this initiative has been talked about for quite a while now, and so we were in discussions, not really knowing when the application was going to come out, and all of a sudden, this application now is available, and the application only allows you 30 days within which to submit all the required documents. So in the early discussions through the Stronger Economies Together, it was decided that we wanted to apply for this CCI initiative as a region. And so once the actual application came about, it was determined that there was a couple of ways that you could look at regional. Regional meant also, say, for example, in a county, in your case, Grant County, and all the entities under that county as a regional, or regional could mean as the Council of Governments taking the regional approach with all the counties and all the local governments under that. So in discussions with the group, once we came to discussing how this was going to actually come together, it was decided through a conference call with the Economic Development Department and some of these players that are involved in this Certified Communities Initiative, that it was in the best interest for Luna County, and that was their choice, to actually apply for funds on their own. And so that's kind of where that led. And part of the reason for that is that, you know, they've already had somebody working on it, and there is additional funds to a county if you choose to go individually with those local governments. And the way it works is that if you receive the Certified Communities Initiative, then you get $10,000, or should I say up to $10,000 for becoming certified, and then you get $1,000 per entity, per incorporated community within that. So, for example, in Luna County, you get up to $10,000, and then you get $1,000 for the Village of Columbus and the City of Deming if they were to participate as part of the regional effort. So in those discussions as well, it was also decided that Grant County was then going to do their own application. And so we continued to take the initiative on because we felt that there needed to be representation to actually promote economic development in the counties of Catron and Hidalgo. And one of the things that's very unique to those counties is that they do not have an economic development person. So in this case, we were continuing to move forward with that, and one of the requirements of the application is that in order to receive this designation and the dollars, you have to have a person that's an economic development planner full-time. So in this case, the agreement is that my economic development planner through the Council of Governments would be that person. So that's kind of how it was initially, and then we came to a coalition meeting in which there was discussions with the Joint Powers Agreement, and therefore not being able to make a decision in that regard because the Joint Powers Agreement wasn't really structured in order to be able to make that decision as a coalition. So from the coalition meeting, it was determined that the entities, being Bayard, Santa Clara, and Hurley, and Silver City and Grant County, go back to their respective local government and meet with their councils and decide whether they wanted to participate as a regional application with the county or if they wanted to participate together as the region. And so there was a lot of discussion around what was the best way. Some of it, if you go with the region, you're not going to get all the dollars, but then there's other benefits if you do apply as a region, because that's kind of how things are working now from a regional perspective in looking at funding. So those discussions occurred. So to date, what I can tell you is that the Village of Santa Clara has agreed to go with the Council of Governments as part of the region. The City of Bayard approved that yesterday as part of the region. This time, tonight, it's your decision and on which route you like to take. And then also, the county is having their meeting next week, and then, Hurley will be having their meeting on Thursday. So that's kind of where things are at. It's up to you all to decide whether you want to be part of the regional effort through the COG or through the county. So at this point, the county won't make the decision until they have their meeting, which would be next week. So, is there anything that I'm missing with regards to that? Like, some of the benefits maybe I should discuss?
I would like to say a few things about the real benefits of applying regionally. You know, the $10,000 and $1,000 is really not very much when you're talking about economic development. The dollars are really not the issue. The real issue is the perception from the state. You know, I can say, having made presentations in front of the governor myself, and talking about how Grant County has been able to, especially like our regional water plant, has been able to work so successfully on moving forward and developing that regional plan. She used our example, our projects as examples of what the state really wants as far as working regionally. The one benefit that I see working under one of the major benefits of working under the COG is that the state will see us, Hidalgo and Ketchikan County, as a region, but it does not prohibit us from acting independently on our own as far as economic development. So the person that works for the coalition, Arlene Shado, our economic developer, will be acting on behalf of Grant County when it comes to, along with the COG, on economic development efforts, because they support us whether we were working under the CCI program or not. Just on behalf of the agreement that we just approved a few minutes ago. So no matter what, we will be working with the Council of Governments, but the real benefit is getting the perception up to the state that, you know what, we're listening to what is happening in Ketchikan County, we're listening to what's happening in Hidalgo, and we're going to be working together to develop economic development in our region, because you know what, when it comes down to it, from my perspective as a town manager, we are the economic hub of that whole area. So jobs created in the entire area, we benefit from. So that is the real reason that I supported going on this route.
And Mayor and members of the council, if I may, I just want to assure you that in the application it states that there will be a sole contact with the Economic Development Organization. The sole contact of the Economic Development Organization is because we are going to be the lead applicant, if that's what you choose to do. That means we're going to be responsible for the execution of the grant agreement, we're going to be responsible for the funds, that they're administered properly, and the oversight of that Certified Communities Initiative. By no means does that mean that we are going to fulfill the position as an economic development for Grant County. We would only do that in the case where, you know, the counties that do not have an economic development person. And as you know, Hidalgo and Ketchikan County do not have that type of person. So that's how it becomes to form a partnership, because we know that what's happening in those adjacent counties is affecting us. What's affecting us is affecting those adjacent counties. And so it's really more of a partnership, and I want to assure you that that's the way the structure would be in this instance.
Thanks. Arlene, did you want to say anything?
I just want to say that I did have concern with the MOU with the Gila EDA and them being appointed as the lead economic development entity in Grant County, and I work closely with them, but I appreciate everything that Priscilla and the Council of Government does, and I'm more than glad to do whatever I can to work with them, and I appreciate that they'll still let me be able to continue to do my job. So whatever works with all of us working together in regional, I think is important too. So thank you.
I'll just give a little bit of detail on the MOU that it was actually an MOA that formed the Grant County Economic Development Coalition for Progress, was designed and implemented to administer a $250,000 state grant. After reading the details of the MOA in all essential matters, that job was accomplished, and that ended that agreement. That presents us with a whole other issue that we just weren't aware of, and we need to decide on what we're going to do. If we're going to reestablish the coalition, and that's going to take a little bit of time. This issue, I attended the coalition meeting, I heard the discussion, I heard the debate, and this was the recommendation that I made to the coalition, is that we take this route. And it doesn't diminish, but I feel it enhances the efforts that we already have going on. And anytime we do a regional effort, which we already do many, is with the transit, with the landfill, the Stronger Economies Together is a regional effort, that does nothing but enhance our working relationship and the benefits that come from the larger scale. So this was my recommendation, and there was consensus by the other three municipal governments and the county commission that they would carry the same resolution to their governing bodies for consideration with a recommendation from them to approve. Any discussion? Councilor Norris.
I move for approval of resolution number 2012-20, a resolution approving the Southwest New Mexico Council of Governments to apply for the Certified Communities Initiative program for the town of Silver City.
Mr. Mayor, I second the motion as stated.
There's a motion and a second to approve. Is there any discussion?
Mr. Mayor.
Councilor Besson.
I do like this approach. I think after going to several meetings of the Green Jobs Task Force that Senator Bingaman's office had put together and Senator Bingaman had done, I think that the regional approach is really the best way, because together we're more powerful. We can attract jobs that benefit the region, as Mr. Brown had stated, and that whatever makes the region stronger makes Silver City stronger, makes our county stronger. What may not benefit us directly, meaning that the jobs are located here in Silver City or directly in Grant County, still benefits the region as a whole, so that we all have our strengths if we do this regional approach with, Hidalgo and Catron County and Grant County in this method. So I like this approach a lot. I think this makes complete sense to me, and I think this will benefit us both at the state level and also at the federal level, depending on how we go forward. So,
Councilor Larson and members of the council, I need to acknowledge Arlene and Emily for the work that's been done, because one of the things that we've talked about in all of this work that's been done, there's no possible way you could have gathered all the data necessary for submittal of this application in 30 days. But what you do have now, whether we get the Certified Communities Initiative certification or not, is that now you have a binder full of all of those important data that you need, whether it's land, building, utilities, all of those things that economic prospects look for, you now have at your fingertips. And normally it takes, when you have an economic prospect, you have to go researching where all of these things really are, but now it's at your fingertips. So if for some reason that doesn't go the way we'd like it to, then we know we have that, and then we will assume responsibility for ensuring that stays maintained, so that we can always have that for those economic opportunities.
Any other discussion from the council? There's a motion and a second to approve resolution number 2012-20, a resolution approving the Southwest New Mexico Council of Governments to apply for the Certified Communities Initiative program for the town of Silver City. Roll call, please.
Councilor Morales?
Aye.
Councilor Wang?
Aye.
Councilor Cook?
Aye.
Councilor Benson?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thanks, Priscilla. Thanks, Emily. Thanks, Arlene. The next item on the agenda is approval, disapproval, notice of intent to adopt ordinance number 1209, an ordinance amending Chapter 52, Utilities, Article 3, Water and Sewer Rates and Charges, Section 52-71, Water Rates of the Town of Silver City Municipal Code. Mr. Brown.
Mayor and Council, if you remember, during our preliminary budget hearings and the preliminary budget approval, I made the recommendations based on water rate increases of in the range of 3%. This ordinance is to accomplish that. It also accomplishes another issue. Anytime that we raise or change rates to the water rates, it requires an ordinance. What this ordinance will do, it'll do the same thing that we are doing right now with wastewater and sewer rates, is that annually we'll have to approve the rate for water, sewer, and wastewater during our preliminary budget hearing, during the preliminary budget adoption. So that way, the rates that are adopted are in line with accomplishing the revenue generation that we're looking for in those, the water sewer fund. So, basically, the rate increase is basically to cover electrical pumping costs. That's the major part of it. With the P&M rate increase, that's the major reason for this request. I do want to say that we have not raised water rates since fiscal 2008, so this is going to be 5 years since the last rate increase.
Any discussion? Anything from the council? Council.
Alex, how much was the rate increase in 2008?
That rate increase was 3% because it was an automatic. In 1999, there was an ordinance that was adopted that created a 3% automatic rate increase until 2008. So in 2008, we did not choose to increase the rates. This ordinance is more in line to be able to increase them when we need to and leave them alone when we're able to. It's just like the sewer and the wastewater rates. We increased them last year. We did not have to increase them this year. So there was no recommendation made for an increase during the budget process. So this is I do need to make one amendment to what I said. A 3% rate increase. It's 3% for residential in town for the base rate and the tiered rates, and it's 3% for the tiered rates for out of town. I did not do an increase for the base rate for out of town rates because it is so high right now that I did not believe that it was fair or beneficial to our benefit to raise that rate again.
The water association rates will increase?
The water association rates will go up 3%.
Okay.
Because that's what the in-town rate goes up is what theirs goes up.
Okay, great.
Any other discussion? Come up.
I was just curious whether commercial accounts pay a different rate than residential, or do they pay the highest tier for their large use, like Western New Mexico University?
No, they have I believe it's the base rate is from 0 to 3,000 gallons. The first tier is from 3 to 10,000 gallons, and anything over 10,000 gallons is the highest tier. That's residential. And the commercial is from 0 to 3,000, the base rate. Then from 3,000 to, I believe, the tier of gallons is a lot bigger than the commercial.
Commercial is 417,000 gallons.
417,000.
In town is 13,000, not 10,000.
Oh, it's 13,000?
Yeah.
Okay, well, it's a 10,000 gallon increase, basically.
Any other discussion? Councilor Morano.
You know, I appreciated Councilor Cook's comment because it does illustrate that, as Alex just mentioned, puts the onus on us to increase each and every year if we deem that necessary. It really puts the onus on the council to do so, which I think is important. I'm kind of surprised that back in '99 they got out of that by doing such an extended period. I think that was just on its own not good policy. I actually prefer, if I'm going to vote for increasing, I want to be the one doing it, and I don't want to subject future councilors to doing so either.
Most of them left office shortly after that.
And it binds it to the budget, because that's the important thing, is you're going to approve a budget, but we have to have the rate structure in there to supply the revenues for the expenses for that budget. And I think that's good policy, is to ensure that you have the revenues available whenever you're passing the budget.
Any other discussion? Councilor Besson.
I move, I forget where I am on here. Yeah, sorry. I move to approve notice of intent to adopt ordinance number 1209 and ordinance amending Chapter 52, Utilities, Article 3, Water and Sewer Rates and Charges, Section 52-71, Water Rates of the Town of Silver City Municipal Code.
Mr. Mayor, I second that motion.
There's a motion and a second to approve notice of intent. Is there any discussion? There's a motion and a second to approve notice of intent to adopt ordinance number 1209 and ordinance amending Chapter 52 Utilities, Article 3, Water and Sewer Rates and Charges, Section 52-71, Water Rates of the Town of Silver City Municipal Code. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is approval, disapproval of selection of a voting delegate and alternate to vote at the New Mexico Municipal League's annual conference. And every year at the annual conference in August that the Municipal League does, they allow each municipality to have one vote to conduct the business of the association. And in doing so, we approve the policy statement, we approve any resolutions that are passed in committees, and we also elect the board of directors and leadership. And historically, I've been the voting delegate, and I believe Mr. Brown was the alternate, or were you? And Councilor Bedison is the alternate. What's the pleasure of the council?
Mr. Mayor, that works for me.
Mr. Mayor, it works for me too.
Hearing no objections, I will be the voting delegate with Councilor Bedison as the alternate for the Municipal League's annual conference in August.
Do we need to do a formal approval, disapproval?
Do we have to vote on that, Ann? Does it require a vote? Oh, sure, let's vote on it.
Why not?
We're all here. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Now we'll have a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Mayor, I move to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Mr. Mayor, I second that motion.
There's a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries, and we are adjourned.